Alright guys, welcome back to another Digimon Rearise video. So with the new season, or with the last season ending and the new season starting, we do have a new set of training Digimons, which we'll go into in a bit in this video. So I think with daylight savings time, the season reopens like an hour earlier, which I totally forgot. But I did decent in it. I think I had to like stream last night for like the last hour of the battle park before it closed, and I was aiming for top 1,000 and got there. Got 700 something. Only 2 refills, so not too bad, I'd say. So, anyways, let's go ahead and check out the trends here. So, generally, I mean, there are some surprises here, and some, I guess not so much surprises. So, let's start with the unsurprising parts of the list. So MetaMon still number one in comparison to last week. No surprise, you like the top four: Minerva, Noble Pumpkin, Hyandro, Creepymon. Zero surprises here. There are some like micro changes, I guess. Even though MinervaMon's still number one, did get a 2% boost there. Noble Pumpkinmon got a 4% decrease, even though last week it already got a 4% decrease, got another 4% decrease. Hyandromon 1% decrease, that's negligible. Creepymon 1% decrease, also kind of negligible. So, these four obviously still, top tier Digimon in the game. Creepymon probably the best of the four, but, obviously Creepymon's much harder to obtain than the other three. Noble Pumpkinmon being the easiest to obtain because it's free. So, there you have it. Hyandromon, again, still incredibly solid. I honestly, it's Hyandamon is just it just makes so many teams work, and if you have like if you're fighting in Battle Park, and if you have your shield up, and your opponent doesn't, well, that's GG. 60% defense increases, huge. I see a lot of people overlooking this point. It's it really is, it's pretty phenomenal. So Hyandamon still there, MinervaMon again, just huge AoE damage, all that stuff. Decrease your enemy's defense, all their defense by 20%. You're just you're just here for the damage, MinervaMon, right? So there's always that as well. Poison just adds to the damage. So here's where stuff starts getting interesting. So last week I was wondering why MEGAGARGOMON actually went down a bit, and I was expecting it to trend up a bit, and well, this week we actually got to see MEGAGARGOMON trend up quite a bit. I would imagine just because of more people getting into S tier, and with the whole tech meta still running around, MEGAGARGOMON saw more use, right? For those who don't know what the heck's going on with MEGAGARGOMON, if you haven't got to S tier yet, it's a free mega that you get when when you get to S tier. So what it does, its main skill, at skill level 10, 330% damage for enemy targets, decrease their power, their power by 30%, and also increases your own pinpoint rate by 50%. But most folks usually use MEGAGARGO for its sub skill, which is 390% damage to 2 enemy targets and decrease their tech damage resistance by 30%. So after you use that, any tech Digimon that hits those two Digimon, any damage dealers at least, they're probably going to be dead. So there's that. So MEGAGARGOMON jumped up from, I think, 9 or 8 to 5, and our last week's number 5, Greymon, jumped from 5 to 8. So basically Greymon and MEGAGARGOMON swapped spots, which makes sense. Piedmon moved up 1, which again makes sense. This spot was occupied by SAKUYAMON last week, which dropped down a lot. It's kind of sad even. But Piedmon, it's still great. A lot of people got Piedmon from the guaranteed banner, right? A lot of people say it's a better version of Wraith Mon. Obviously, it does just much more damage than Wraith Mon, and it's more effective in blinding opponents, which is pretty decent in this meta. Again, with Greymon kind of dropping out. So the blind helps a lot, obviously, and also blind is just a huge counter to Creepymon. for the most part, so that helps as well. So Puppetmon up here, GANKOOMON. So this is the interesting one. So GANKOOMON is the one that you get from the battle shop with the BP points. It's like 750, so it takes a while for folks to actually get him. But once you do get GANKOOMON, it's really, really good. It's a defensive powerhouse, right? So you're increasing all allies block rate by 30% to start off, and then you also have your main skill increases all allies tech damage resistance by 30%, and then sub skill increases all allies power resistance by 30%, as well as main skill having a huge multiplier, which in many cases will one shot decently, not so tanky Digimon on the other team. I would one shot a lot of Digimon a lot of times, because like my move order is usually Hydromon's defensive buff first, and then either GANKOOMON's S1 or Puppetmon's S1, depending on what enemy as I face, right? And usually, if I pull that off before, or if I pull off GANKOOMON's S1 before an enemy sets up shield, a Digimon is very likely to die on their side, and fighting 5-on-4 is much easier than fighting 5-on-5. So that's again another huge advantage. Greymon dropped, which makes sense. It's just a single target, the damage dealer. Subskill, it's really hard to set up your full potential for Greymon. It's much more suited to be a clash battle Digimon, although it still does have its highlights, right? Nullifying blind effects targeting all allies is great, especially considering Wraith Mon and Puppetmon running around, right? Those both induce blind effect to enemies, right? So that's always great. And also the single target thing, especially when your opponent Creepymon actually uses a taunt, and it doesn't have to be Creepymon, I guess, just whatever taunt Digimon is around, throwing out that Terror Force, stunning that taunt Digimon, and especially Creepymon, because Creepymon does a lot of its damage does rely on its counter, which is decently high if you use its subskill. That's a 70% add-on. If you have any plugins, very easy to get that to 100%, right? So again, there's that as well as the blind resistant. So Greymon is still decent, but again, falling off really, really fast because for one, single target just doesn't really cut it in battle parks, and the other point is power teams in general, brave teams, they're just not doing that well in the battle park at the moment in comparison to a lot of com/deft hybrids or just full-on deft teams, tech teams, right? So moving on, Puppetmon didn't get a change here. It's still over here. It got slight decrease. I mean, Puppetmon is what it is. I mean, it's a burn, AOE, sort of. I mean, semi AOE, not really huge AOE. In comparison to a lot of the other huge AOE damage dealers, you're just here to deal some burn damage and increase your allies critical rate by 20%. That's mainly what people throw Puppetmon on their team for, is to increase the crit by 20%, which is pretty huge. But then again, Puppetmon, in terms of a lot of its other attributes, really don't bring as much as, say, a Puppetmon or Minervamon would to a team. So Puppetmon decent, but it's kind of in a weird position, right? Moving on to SAKUYAMON. SAKUYAMON's the one I think might be the one that dropped the most. Was that number 6 and now dropped to number 10, so that's like what, 4-spot decrease, and it is it's not without reason. So SAKUYAMON, it has again some really, really good bright spots. The nullify skill lock thing, right? That's always great. You decrease your your enemy's defense by 20% if you don't have Minervamon. That's always nice. Your main skill, you get 40% has a skill lock on all enemy targets, right? Decrease enemies tech. This is all good, but again, in a meta where you probably want to take out you're either going to build like a extremely tanky team with decent DPS, or just something like super quick and super damage heavy team. It just really doesn't fit on that. It just like its stats are just atrocious. Let's face it, the stats are atrocious. The multipliers, it's not for dealing damage, and folks teams are mostly built around dealing damage. Non-damage dealers are more niche, I guess, with the exception of High Mon, just because again, the the defense it gives is just it's just so good. So moving on, Pleasemon's interesting. Pleasemon actually jumped up quite a bit. Jumped up 2 spots, I think, from last week. And Pleasemon is it's pretty nice. So it's probably the best all-around healer in the game, right? So sub skill is 50% HP to all allies, and also removes sleep, which isn't the biggest. I mean, well, here's the thing. No Pumpkinmon is number 2 on the list, right? So a lot of people are running no Pumpkinmon. No Pumpkinmon is your main source of sleep that you have to deal with, right? And I mean, the AI doesn't really use sleep too early in the game, which is okay for Puppetmon. Again, sleep is an issue, but it's not like the biggest thing in the world. So the sleep parts, it's good, but it's not that big. You're mainly going to use it to heal, right? And then your main skill is really nice as well. 420% at skill level 10, obviously. To 3 enemy targets, 50% chance to inflict stun on 3 enemy. Like 50% is really it's high, right? And then also decrease your enemy's block rate by 30%, which is also nice. But like it's only 3 targets, which is still a decent amount. And it's a hit or miss. It's a hit or miss. So what can you do? Moving on. Who we got? Oh, Pumpkinmon. Pumpkinmon is really, really good. So Pumpkinmon, especially when you do have it at skill level 10, it's a bit of a monster, right? So first of all, you increase block rate of brave allies by 20%, which is fine, I guess. If you have any other block rate increase, just increasing Digimon that increases everyone's block rate, like GANKOOMON or folks like that, you probably want to run that passive instead. But Pumpkinmon does have its highlights, right? Because obviously it's free to play. You can farm it up all the way to a skill level 10, which is nice, and you also get the rainbow plugins for it, which is huge, and the skills are decent, right? Sub skill 160% damage to all enemy targets. Remember, this has skill level 10, and decreases their attack by 30%. So if you don't have or even if you do have a GANKOOMON, you could do this. You could decrease your enemy's attack by 30%, as well as increase your tech resistance. And then if you've got a shield, if you got like block rate increase, like you can make your team extremely tanky against tech-based teams, which are the majority of the meta right now. A lot of people are running meta or are running tech-based teams at the moment. So you could potentially make your team really, really hard to kill if you like throw this in with again stuff like High Andrew or GANKOOMON, right? And then your main skill, 360% damage 3 enemy targets, 50% chance to inflict stun on 3 enemy targets, which is nice as well. So Pumpkinmon overall really, really decent Digimon, and do keep in mind one of their its rainbow plugins is speed, so that's always great. So moving on, next one, Wisemon slightly decreased. It's just 1% of the biggest deal in the world. Again, with a tech heavy meta, you would expect to see Wisemon still around, right? So makes sense it's still around. Nothing too surprising here. The next one, Wraith Mon, it didn't really change. I mean, even though a lot of people are running Piedmon, there are some reasons to run Wraith Mon over Piedmon. The nullifying blind effects is nice, right? Obviously, again, it doesn't do as much damage as Piedmon would, right? And I just don't find its main skill to be that appealing. It increases all allies' pinpoint rate by 10%, but who cares? Who cares? And increases all allies' tech by 10%, which is nice, but most people, again, are running no Pumpkinmon, which increases tech as well. Those you don't know, like if you still don't know this, buffs don't stack. That's it is what it is. So that doesn't really matter. But I guess if you're not running no pumpkin, I guess. But like there really isn't no reason to not run no pumpkin if you're running a tech team. It's just it's so integral to technique, and it's free. So there's that as well. The sub skill, 200% to all enemy targets, 40% chance to inflict blind on all enemy targets. I guess, I mean, it is all enemy targets in comparison to Puppetmons, right? So there's that. Maybe again, most people are running Puppetmon over it anyways, so it is what it is. Like, being at number 13 it's still pretty decent, right? Ebamon, I never got the hype about Ebamon, honestly. Decreases all enemy targets crit rate by 20%, which is nice. And then 520%, remember this is at skill level 10, to 2 enemy targets, decrease 2 enemy targets defense by 20%, and 55% chance to inflict error on 2 enemy targets, 250% damage for enemy targets, decrease for enemy targets attack by 30%. It's just, I don't know, this Digimon always strikes me as trying to do way too much, and just doesn't really do anything particularly well. I mean, overall, its skill set's fine. It's not, again, it's not a bad Digimon. I mean, being on this list, it obviously, it's decent, right? But I don't know. I guess it's not terrible. It's not terrible, right? It's not like Prince Mammon level, right? But it's kind of hard to run. It's kind of hard to run, I have to say. Moving on, Puppetmon. Puppetmon increased 1 slot. I really don't know why, I guess. I mean, again, Puppetmon's not bad. Again, none of these are bad. Decrease all enemies counter rate by 20%, which is okay, right? You can nullify, say, Hyandramon's passive, right? Which doesn't really matter, honestly, for the most part. Main skill, some damage to 4 enemy targets, 45% inflicts sleep on 4 enemy targets, and decrease 4 enemy targets block rate by 10%. So, this is what folks are usually using for Puppetmon, right? You're trying to get that sleep on. It's, 4 enemy targets, and you do an okay-ish amount of damage, I guess. All the Puppetmon's base stats are kind of iffy. And also decrease block rate. And then the sub skill, it's a single target, so I mean, I guess you could use it early on, set up defense. Obviously, you do that first, and then you could do this, and then use like a full AOE damage move to see if you could like take one out quick. Although it's already a 3rd turn in, so who knows? Moving on, Metal Digimon got a boost here. A lot of people hate on Metal Digimon. I don't really know why. Like, looking at Metal Digimon's kit, it's pretty solid. I really don't know why people hate on it. Decreases all enemies block rate by 20%. Is that's always nice. 420%, again, skill level 10. Damage to 3 enemy targets, 50% chance to inflict shock on 3 enemy target, and increases all allies defense by 30%. Again, if you have Hyandraman, this 30% is, it's kind of a joke. But if you don't have Hyandraman, it's something to consider, right? Better than running Mamamon, in my opinion, for if you're running defense. Even though, again, Mamamon does increase more defense, but here you get to hit 3 enemy targets with an okay-ish amount of damage. It's not too much. And you also have that chance to, inflict shock on, your opponents. So it's kind of like Hyandramon's main skill plus Hyandramon's sub skill added together, but just like much more crappier. But hey, it's all in one move, so there's that. As for the sub skill, it's a single target. Freeze is great. It takes your opponent out of there, but then again, it's single target. And 60% is a really, really good chance, right? So Metal Digimon really isn't that bad. I mean, its stats are whatever, but, if you don't have, say, a Hyandraman or whatever, you could always throw this thing in, right? Moving on, Venom Myotis. Venom Myotis actually took a dip as well. I think last week was 14. Now it's down to, 15. So, nullify skill lock. Like, again, Venom Myotis Mon, huge damage dealer. Like, its base stats are crazy. Its multipliers are nice, right? And it's semi AOE, right? So this dude does an absolute crazy amount of damage. Biggest problem, it will die in one hit. Something touches it, it's going to die. Okay? So biggest problem with it, it just dies too easily. Not consistent with what the anime shows, right? It took them a few episodes to take him out, but in the game, it just dies. Mamimon, it's your cheaper, it's your budget high-end Mon, I guess. Nullify error effects. This is garbage. The passive skill is garbage. Main skill, it's whatever. I mean, block rate's nice, but again, buff stone stack. If you already have a block rate buffing Digimon with a passive, this is really whatever. Moving on, Tinamon, this thing got an increase, I guess. What was it last week? What was this dude last week? Was he even on the list last week? Or was he like 17, 18? I don't even remember him being on the... You know what? He might be on... Oh, yeah. He was on the list. He was actually on the list. Let me check over here. Yeah, no. He was tied for 18 last week. I guess he got rid of Quagga Mon, which is down there, and just up there by himself. I mean, he's okay. Poison, decreased power, resistance. It's just, I mean, Tenacious Digimon overall are fine, but it's just hard to find spots for them. Again, moves are okay, stats are whatever, right? Moving on, Lilamon. Lilamon's up here. It's just for buffing brave allies. There really isn't much else to Lilamon. The main skill's garbage. Passive skills, whatever. It's just here for the sub skill. And again, Wisemon is way higher because more folks are running tech teams. It's just a fact. MEGAGARGOMON, I don't even know why this guy is still even on this list. Like, it's kind of a miracle that MEGAGARGOMON's still on here. MEGAGARGOMON is, wow. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. It's calm. If people want to run it with Phoenixmon, could throw it on there. It's tech, I guess. You could throw it on a tech team. And, it is what it is. It's a single target damage dealer. Does a lot of damage. And also freezes, which is kind of weird because you would expect MEGAGARGOMON to be, such a strong single target damage dealer. You would want it to just one-shot your opponent. So adding that freeze is really just kind of weird. Increases zone attack by 50%, nice. I think it's mainly useful for its sub-skill, increasing all allies crit rate by 30%, which is nice, I guess, if you don't have any other crit buffers. Greymon is on this list. So there are 4 Digimon that are on this list that weren't on this list last week, being Greymon Blue, Aerovidramon, Phoenixmon, and Myotismon. So we'll go over these new ones first. Phoenixmon, obviously, it's a new Digimon. People want to try it out. Makes sense, right? And the reason why it's this low is no one frickin' pulled for this thing, and no one had too much time to Digivolve it, nor care to Digivolve it, I guess. Phoenixmon is okay. Again, the meta, it just doesn't fit in the meta. It's for healing. Common Brave Digimon. Common Brave Digimon are not that prevalent in the meta. So, yeah, it is what it is. It's mainly going to be used at the moment for decreasing opponent's tech damage resistance and power damage resistance, honestly. So, there's that. Also, increased block rate. It's nice, I guess, but if you don't... Again, if you have someone else that's better, you throw them on. Aerovidramon, I don't know why the heck this guy's here. I mean, it's a really, really good single target damage dealer. But again, PvP, let's please not use single target damage dealers. So yeah, no, let's not do that. MEGAGARGOMON Blue, same thing with Lilamon, just buffing power teams, I guess. Myotismon is interesting. It's been out for a while. It's not a new Digimon, but it's first time on this list. I guess it's just because of Phoenixmon. People are running tech comm teams. Maybe you want to throw this in. Passive increased tech by 20%. Also, it is a crowd control, right? So there's that. The sub skill is garbage. So, yeah, nothing too much to talk about. Shine Greymon is another Digimon I'm surprised that is still on this list. I guess people like Shine Greymon. I don't know as a character. Overall, like, the passive is a solid passive. Nullify Poison, Minervamon has Poison, Tinamon has Poison. It's a solid passive, but not really too big of a deal. And again, these 4 Digimon, I believe, replaced last week's Rosemon, Machinedramon, Metal Eatamon, and someone else that I can't really remember at the moment. Oh, Garudamon. Huh, rip Garudamon. So, yeah. Rosemon, no one freaking has it. Garudamon, like, the bottom of this list will fluctuate a lot. I mean, everyone's at 1%, right? So, to be fair, last week, Rosemon was at, like, 2%, but no one has Rosemon. Rosemon's actually decent, though, by the way, but no one has her. Metal Eatamon sucks. Shindramon's whatever. MEGAGARGOMON, it's always been around here. It's a healer. It's, if you don't have Pleasiumon, if you really, really want to run a healer, you can run MEGAGARGOMON, I guess. I personally like MEGAGARGOMON. MEGAGARGOMON is also here. It's a reviver. Again, these are really, really niche, I think. Doesn't really do, like, too much other, like, its big thing is just to revive. It's not going to deal damage. You're going to increase your allies' damage slightly, right? 30%, not bad. Overall, I'd say in this meta, I just maybe, I don't know. It depends on what kind of team you're building. If you're building a more damage focused team, you probably would just want to run either Lilimon / Wisemon in the slot. And if you're running a more, I guess, defensive team, maybe MEGAGARGOMON throw in there instead for that spot, I guess. Quagga Mon, it's single target, taunt, doesn't make too much sense. It does increase all eyes defense by 20%. It's just another defensive Digimon. So anyways, that's me for this one. Just this week's or I guess last week's PvP trends, right? This week I would expect these to largely keep the same. I guess Greymon, SAKUYAMON, Boltmon, these guys could probably still drop a bit. I don't see them dropping too much, though. There really isn't too much room to drop. And again, really depends on what our next banner is. My personal prediction for the next banner is Rust-Tyrannomon, so that might shake things up a bit, right? I do expect some of these Calm and Brave Digimon to slightly go up a bit, just because of Phoenixmon, people want to play around with it. And then once they find out it's not really that great for the meta, then, things might calm down a bit. But anyways, that's me for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like and enjoy this video, subscribe to the channel. Also, if you do want to join our Digi Guild, we are at 25 check-ins per day at the moment. But I'll leave a link to our Discord where you could sign up and join our Digi Guild over there. And yeah,